Welcome to our NAB show, lead scoring before and after trade shows. I'm Cindy, and we have Kelly today as our excellent guest.
Hi,
And
Julie.
yeah, tell us how your day's going, Kelly.
Well, it's still a little bit early here on the West Coast, but I'm in Seattle, Washington. No rain yet. We had crazy gusts of wind last night. So when I parked in the parking lot today, there was debris everywhere, which is very unusual for Seattle. We don't get wind like that. So a lot of people lost power, but I made it. We're here. I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, and kind of share some of my learnings and things we do here at Quantum.
Yay, we're so happy you're here with us. And the purpose of our webinar is to give value to exhibitors and really share us as exhibitors, Kelly and me, share everything that we can with everybody so we can all have a better NAB show and just take our marketing to the next level. So we're going to get right into it. And Kelly, just tell us what you do sort of day to day at Quantum.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the segment marketing manager here at Quantum, and I focus on two industries, the media and entertainment industry, and then also video surveillance. Um, and so my role as segment marketing manager is really we are in charge as a group, as a team, for our content, our messaging, product launches related to the different segments, and then campaign oversight. So making sure whatever messaging and high level campaigns that we're going after, we've from a segment perspective have all of everything dialed in and ready for promotion, whether it's top of funnel or bottom funnel. And then I also have a ton of responsibility with lead generation, which is what I would say my passion. So lead scoring is definitely a big part of that, so I'm excited to share more.
Nice, nice. And lead scoring's got kind of a lot of people think of it in different ways. So how do you think of it at Quantum, when you're doing your day-to-day work? Like, how do you define lead scoring?
Yeah, so things that Quantum's been around for a while, and so they've had a lot of different iterations of lead scoring. And I will say one thing is lead scoring is a process. It's not something you just put into place and, then you throw your hands up and you're done. It's something that takes a lot of iteration, takes a lot of communication between sales and marketing. And really is a learning process for any demand generation person or any marketing person. And really the goal is to generate more qualified and a solid volume, depending on your team, of leads. And so every company is going to be different. I was at a small software company before Quantum, and so our lead scoring was extremely different because we were 100% marketing driven leads. Nothing was sales driven. So volume was a huge deal. Whereas here at Quantum, we have a really strong legacy in the industry. We have a really strong customer base. And so a lot of our sales are driven from, relationships that our salespeople have or just our current customers. And so the lead gen, the marketing aspect of it is really about finding new opportunities.
Oh, okay. So a lot of your lead scoring goals are really toward the new opportunity stuff.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, folks on the call, who is doing lead scoring right now? If you want to chat in, if you feel like you want to be private, it's okay to chat to just the panelists or just share with the group. Just kind of wondering who is doing any lead scoring right now. So we'll just keep an eye out for that as we go forward here. And Kelly, tell us when you do your lead scoring, kind of set that up, and how is it changing all the time? Is it the same? How do you score your people? Like, what do you base it on?
Yeah, so like I said, lead scoring is really a process. And so, especially for the folks who don't have something already currently in place, or maybe you do, but you want to take a step back and really evaluate your existing process, you really need to think about your buyers. So, not just who your buyers are, even though that's really important. So, personas are a really big part of that. So, who are the users? Who are the decision makers? what type of C-level is influential in the buying process, and then any other factors, persona factors that could help, push a sale along. So not just the buyers themselves, but also the buying process and the journey that you want to take them on. So from a marketing perspective, whether it's certain content you want to share with them or certain experiences, maybe it's an event or a webinar or something like that. Trying to take all of that into consideration through lead scoring is a big part of the overall process. And so, it's easy to assign numbers to actions, but what's really important is understanding your buyer's journey, your buyer process, and who your buyers are so that you can really guide them into the process that you want them to take and essentially score them how you want them to interact with you.
And so do you just sit down and go, okay, here's my buyer's journey. They meet me at a show, they talk to somebody, they ask for a demo, or like, how do you do that for Quantum?
Yeah, so usually really start with content because oftentimes, people say content is king, and it really is. And, whether you're a software, hardware, services, having that thought leadership in the industry, whatever market you're going after, is really important from a top of funnel perspective because it helps generate leads, whether it's people filling out a form to read your ebook or even from a PR related perspective, getting thought leadership out there so that the market can understand what your positioning is. Content is usually what I start with. So what do we currently have and where does it fall in the buyer's journey? And Serious Decisions does a great job of explaining what the buyer's journey is, but also how to kind of map it out for yourself. So, awareness stage, it can be from a content perspective, can be things like blogs or thought leadership pieces, social posts. And then, as you move down the buyer's journey, when they're evaluating the decision, you would want to show them more things like customer stories or more technical data sheets. So mapping out how you want your prospects or customers to view your content and in what ways, whether it's through webinars or emails or social or trade shows.
Yeah.
That's, kind of the first stepping stone.
I work with a lot of small companies in the broadcast industry, and some of them are like, I know I need to do marketing, but I don't know what to do. And does it really help close sales? There's definitely a group of people who feel like, the product's really good. Does it matter what I do in my marketing to close sales? And do you ever run across that? And how do you think the whole lead scoring before and after shows actually does affect sales? What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% am a believer in that lead scoring and just the demand generation process in itself will help generate revenue, but also will help prioritize your sales team, which is the most important thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, because they have a lot to follow up on. And
Exactly.
how do you choose like the person you know the best or yeah.
Exactly. And although sometimes having that anecdotal feeling as a salesperson or a relationship can definitely help influence how much attention you spend with a certain lead or not. But having something as arbitrary as lead scoring, where it's like, it's very objective, like this is what the score is, whether you feel like it's a good lead or not, it kind of helps prioritize the team. And also, I think allows our sales teams to feel more confident in that marketing is actually helping me do my job better and giving me the leads that I need to help, make my number or close business.
Yeah. Now, so do you find the salespeople actually like the lead scoring? Do they find it beneficial, or do some of them are like, I don't want to deal with that? Like, what's the general sense of that with the sales team?
Yeah, so I would say from my experience, most salespeople have no idea really what happens behind the curtain of the marketing world. They just know they get leads and they're either good or they're bad. And often you hear about the bad, right? Which is which is normal. But when you do kind of see leads that marketing is generating or influencing even, close business, or just, the salesperson has a really great experience or goes on a really great customer meeting, that's kind of the validation from the marketing team. But I would say from a numbers perspective, whether a click in an email or a visit a trade show, what numbers those mean to them, they don't have any idea.
Right.
I think it's more about the value that they see of prioritization of leads. That also can help, because it's a characteristic of not only who they are, who the lead is, but also what they do. And so a hand raiser, someone who goes to your website and fills out a form or visits your trade show booth and has a meeting with you, in theory has a more propensity to buy because they're more interested, or you're doing something that they like.
Right, because they're paying attention. And I think you used a really great word, is influencing and stuff, because if they come to the show and have a demo and then they don't buy for 12 or 18 months, we've all been there, right? Mm-hmm. And so can influencing play a part in that? Does that matter? I mean, I think that's so interesting, really.
Yeah, there's so much, and we're going a little off topic, Cindy, but I love talking about this, so I hope people are interested too.
Yeah, chat in. Is this good? Are we good? Or if you have questions, bring them in on the chat. We're not using the QA today. We're using the chat. So I would love to hear from you. Go ahead, Kelly.
But marketing attribution is a really big thing. And, I'll say that a lot of, the way that things used to be in terms of marketing measurement in the past was very difficult. Like from a B2C perspective, putting an ad on a billboard, how do you know how much return you're getting from that? And obviously the market has changed a lot in that you can now put online banner ads up and you get some of those metrics, not just impressions, but clicks and views and things like that. And so it's been really a game changer for, I would say, the marketing world, because you really have a view in how much influence you have and what campaigns are working, what aren't, either from a direct to revenue perspective. They fill out a form, they take a meeting, we close the deal, or to your point earlier, they go to a trade show a year ago, we email nurture them for a year, they now have a project, they call us, or from one of our reach outs, they respond, and then we close the deal. So there's a lot to be said for attribution and influence, although it's still difficult to measure. I think the industry is getting, from a marketing perspective, way better at it, and it's super exciting.
So as few people have chatted in and said they aren't lead scoring. And so for those of you who aren't and maybe are interested in checking it out, maybe just wondering what the first step or two would be, would it be helpful to have a plan? Maybe a plan that you could kind of go off from? I mean, is that something you guys would like to see? And let me say, I'm queuing that up because, all right, we got some yeses, a few yeses coming in here. Kelly, awesome. Kelly put together a plan, a PDF, and we'll chat that in right now here to the box. You can download it right now. It's a PDF, and I just stashed it up on my web server just as a place right now. It's going to be on that NAB blog. We'll have a replay of this webinar up along with show notes and the PDF that you can download. So we're sharing this with everybody. You guys get early access to it because you're live on the webinar. So feel free to dig into that. Kelly, do you want to speak to that plan you put together a little bit? And specifically for people who aren't lead scoring, what are the sort of top one or two things that somebody might, want to take a step in, maybe before the NAB show or before CABSAT or before whatever show that they're going to next, BBE, whatever it may be? What might they do first?
Yeah. So, Cindy asked me to put together like a rubric of lead scoring. And I started thinking about, okay, if I needed to put together a brand new lead scoring plan, what would I do first? And as I mentioned before, it's easy to assign numbers to actions. That's like the easiest part of the whole process, honestly. But then I started thinking about, well, I need to really understand who my buyers are and, again, what journey I want to take them through. So you'll see in the PDF, I kind of outline different steps that I would take if I was setting up lead scoring for the first time again, um, having learned this the hard way. Um, but I would say that, once you feel like you have a good understanding of the journey and the process you want your buyers to take, assigning those lead scores honestly is kind of up to you. And so that's why I would say the most important thing is testing, measuring, and then changing if needed.
Right.
Because every product, every buying process, every buyer is going to be different based on your company. And you know it best. And if you don't know it, you test. And if it didn't work, you try it again. And also, even if it is working for a little while, and volume may be low or quality may be bad, that's when you change again. And we're a 30 plus year old company and we reiterate on lead scoring still. And also every segment is different. So how we lead score in video surveillance versus M&E is very different as well, because those buyers are different. The buying process is different. But I would say the most important thing, I think, is your relationship and the process that you develop with your sales team.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's going to be, you want to drive sales, right? You want to help up level the most quality of your leads, but also give them enough volume so that they are, having enough conversations, closing enough deals. And so having that open communication with your sales leadership of, okay, how are the leads doing this week, even this month, this quarter? What can we improve upon together? It's not just a marketing thing, it's also a sales thing. And so having that relationship is super important. So I would say relationship with the sales and measurement.
All right. So, folks in the audience, are you able to download that PDF? Fallon put the link up there. Has anybody been able to click on it? Is that link working? Okay. Good. Good. All right. All right. Yay! Now I can say that one of the folks I was just working with on something last week, just to boil it down really, really simply, is like we did a thing where we have like you were talking about content. So we started out with like, what do people need to learn about before they buy our stuff? Okay, they need to learn about this particular topic, this technical topic. So we did a white paper on that topic. And then if someone's interested in that topic, it makes sense that they might be interested in the product that would solve solutions around that. So the next thing is maybe a video on how to solve this problem. And by the way, there's this product that'll do it, right? And then eventually, maybe the third or fourth step down is, hey, would you like to download a software trial if that's applicable? And so the steps are really, you can start really simple. You can start with just like 3 steps and try it like, okay, I'm going to do a white paper and then a video, or maybe it's too hard to do a video, just data sheet. You already have that. It's okay. Like, don't have to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. And then drive to whatever that thing is they do right before they buy, whether it's, everybody's like, I want anybody with money and I want them to buy. Well, that's, of course we do, but what do they do right before that? Maybe download that trial or get a quote or whatever the thing is. And then to me, if someone downloads a trial or requests a consult with a salesperson, like that's a lot of points. So if my scale is, I don't know, 1 to 50, like I might give someone 50 points for filling in a form saying they want to meet with the salesperson, just for example. So Kelly's PDF spells that out, but I thought I'd just lay it out in super simple terms right here. Maybe 1 click in an email is 1 point. Maybe. Like you said, it could be 5 points, and then you can adjust the scoring or rubric if you want to.
Yeah, and it can also be based on just who they are.
Oh yeah, talk about that. I love you and I talked about that the other day. That's awesome.
Yeah, so especially from like an ABM, an account-based marketing approach, or say you've sold into this one really large company and you know that there's other opportunities within that large company that would be a great fit for your product. You could say if they're from this company, they automatically MQL, or their lead score is 100 or whatever the max is, so that it would push them over.
MQL, I'm just for the couple people who might not know that one on the call, marketing qualified lead
Mhm.
versus SQL, sales qualified lead. Other people use other acronyms. So anyway, not to be too
No.
basic, but I just want to throw that in. Go for it.
Yeah. So, so you could look at it in terms of the company that they're associated with, but also the job title or function, or maybe even an industry. Like, you do really well in healthcare. And so somebody who comes from an healthcare industry may score higher than somebody who comes from insurance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, again, that's why it's so important to know your buyers, or at least have an idea of, who your top buyers are or who you've had success with. So then you can start with that, nugget and develop lead scoring around that. And then maybe you learn something that, like, man, construction companies really love my product. And I didn't know that before, but, I've developed this lead scoring that was heavy towards healthcare, but after going through iteration and looking at how many leads that have, been a part of construction that have scored well and have had good appointments or sales meetings, I'm going to now score them higher. So engagement is really important, because what we say is they're hand raisers. They're saying, okay, I'm interested.
Totally.
Tell me more. Um, Even if it's indirect, maybe it's just visiting a web page or attending a webinar. But I think also looking at who they are is really important, because
Yeah.
again, going back to the personas, if a C-level is attending, a trade show and having a meeting with you, that's a pretty big deal. Even if he's not the buyer, he's an
Right.
influencer, and he can say to the buyer, hey, you should really check out company XYZ. I visited them at NAB, and, they were doing some great things.
Yeah. I love that. Now, when you're talking about the scoring, um, is all that automatic, or do you have to put some handwork into it and do stuff manually? Or what does that look like? I mean, can a small company do this? We know bigger companies can, but yeah, talk about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so tools are really important, and automation is obviously very helpful. I would say, depending on your volume and the size of the company, it's totally something you could do manually. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, actually never done it manually. I've had the luxury of having things like Marketo or HubSpot into place that will help you lead score. But you still have to be the one to kind of set those scores up, however you decide to do it. In Marketo, it's out of 100, and so you just kind of play with it, and I would say go with your gut initially after you've done your upfront work. And I also put in the document um, like the ways that we look at lead scoring on a few examples. Um, but automation is really nice for sure. Marketo is great, but I know for smaller companies, it's not necessary. And so even manually, I think it is totally possible.
Yeah, definitely. HubSpot is great. And our guest coming up in December, I believe, uses HubSpot for their company. And then for smaller companies, I can definitely speak to that because that's one of my specialties. And Infusionsoft is the one that I use for that. And that can be based on flames, which is kind of nice. So 5 flames is a hot lead and 1 is maybe less. And like you said, there's tons of tools out there. It's not really about the tool. I do a little bit of manual scoring because if someone comes to the NAB show, I might give them, I don't know, 25 points if they sat down and had a demo, but only 5 points if they were one of those walk by people that throws your card and splits, right? Okay. And so that is a little bit of a manual scoring because you're looking at the different people. And so it is possible for any size company to take into account what people are doing and really have an advantage from looking at that scoring.
Yeah, and I think trade shows, like you mentioned, offers a very unique lead scoring measurement manually, because it is important as a marketing person at the show to be able to gauge, how a lead interacts with us. Like you said, maybe at a certain show you just get the entire attendee list. Well, you're not going to score them the same. right?
Right.
If they come and talk to you, you're going to score them way different than if you just
Hmm.
were lucky enough to get their email address. And so I think also at trade shows, having the ability, even if it's just writing notes on a business card, really solid conversation, or not interested right now, but a really good lead, things
Hmm.
like that you can take back with you and do some of that manual scoring is, I think, important and will be valuable in the future, even though it is, some heavy lifting up front.
Nice, nice. Hey, so we have been just having a blast talking here, and we're well past our 20-ish minutes at this point. And everybody on the call, we chose 20 minutes because I figure you guys are super busy, and so we're trying to pack a ton of value into a short bit of time and make it worthwhile for everybody. So a couple things around that. I just want to tell you what's upcoming, and then we will also take time right now. Kelly and I will stay on for Q&A as long as people have any questions and want to dig into stuff. And we'll also give you some contact info too if you want to contact us afterward. That's another way to do stuff as well. So upcoming, if you guys want to register for all of the webinar series, we have another 8 after this now through NAB show, and actually one right after the show. You can do that. And Fallon, if you don't mind chatting the reg link in there, we're going to update that registration page after later today. So we'll keep that updated and stuff. And so in December, we have demand generation. So wondering if that's a topic that's interesting as well. It really ties into lead scoring. So let me know what you think about that. Louis Tedesco from Chiron Hego will be on talking about that. And then later in December, we also are going to take a look at LinkedIn and how to do, Kelly, you mentioned account-based marketing or ABM, and just how to use LinkedIn to stay in touch with your customers and your prospects, and maybe do a little account-based marketing. We'll take a look at that. And then these webinars are for you guys. And so we want to hear what stuff you guys want to talk about. And so the rest of the schedule is purposely to be announced right now because I want to hear from you. I can think of a million awesome topics. I'm sure you can too, Kelly. But this is for you. So do come back to us with that. If Fallon, if you wouldn't mind just popping my email address in the chat as well. And I see we have some questions coming in. So let's dig into a couple of those right now. Okay. Love this question. Is it better to grab everybody that walks by the booth or only capture leads of people that are really interested? Kelly, you want to dig into that one a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is one of those like age-old debates, even
Right.
internally.
Yeah.
We fight over this. I personally have the philosophy, and this is again based on where we stand as a company, because we're a little bit more mature. I don't think we need to get every single lead that walks by. And because we're a little bit more known in the industry. So on the M&E side, it's definitely to our benefit that, I don't feel like it's 100% necessary to grab everybody and be like, give me your contact information. But I will say, if you're a newer company and you are trying to get the value out of trade shows in terms of building up your database and having, a strong group of people that are within your industry to market to, whether they're going to buy something now or later, then that strategy does make sense, I will say. So I think it depends on where your company is and what the purpose of going to shows actually means for you. Whether it's to set up pre-scheduled meetings and just have those meetings there because everyone's going to be at that show, or if it's purely trying to generate volume of leads, I think is how I would think of it.
Right. I mean, if you're looking to build your list and you do want qualified people, but if you're almost resorting to buying a list, like if someone's doing that, then like grabbing everybody in the aisle. And I can see some of the different people on this call, and I'm familiar with some of the companies. There's companies here that will only really take note of somebody who's come in and made some time commitment and interacted on a demo. And there's companies on this call right now who hire an agency with smart models to hang out in the aisles and collect people that way. I think they're both brilliant. Like you said, it's what's your goal, right? And what are you going to do next? If you just collect them and they're in your database or CRM forever, kind of who cares? It's really what's the next step in promoting the business and the company.
Yeah, and email nurture is a huge part of that, which I could suggest could be another topic for you, Cindy.
Let me write that down. Oh, so email nurture, I'm writing that down. You talked about personas, and personas and avatars is like huge topic for me. I just all about it and stuff. So if people are interested in personas and avatars and what that means to your marketing and why it matters, let us know. You should be able to leave your comments also on the NAB blog. I believe the comments will be open there. And so that's a place where you can also say, hey, I love this, and I'd also like to hear more about email nurture or something like that. So yeah.
I will also say to that question, whatever strategy you decide, make sure your lead scoring is matched up with that strategy.
What do you mean by that? Tell me more.
If your strategy is to grab anybody and everybody in, that walks by your booth, make sure that you score them lower than what you would score someone who you had a solid conversation with and is actually more interested. And so I would say it's probably easiest to just decide on a strategy and make sure you either scan the leads that you have had actual conversations with people and not worry about kind of the flybys and scanning everybody. Or if you do if you scan everybody, then make that known within your lead scoring that's the type of lead you're getting versus a real conversation.
And that's where I would actually use some manual scoring. It's like, I'm going to score everybody at, 1. And then I'm going to go back in and pick the hot leads, whether I look at the salesperson's comments or whether I have the infrared scanner and I can see that the person sat at the demo booth 3 times in a row, right? So whatever the data is that helps me to go in and actually manually score it, I think it's a great way to do it and track stuff that way. But let me just look at this, because I bet you there's some people on this call, maybe not, who might say, I can remember all the hot leads. I know who sat down and had a hot demo, and I don't really care about the rest of the people who walk by. Why should I lead score? I already have an understanding of who's hot.
I would say because, one, I commend your memory because I have to write everything down because I don't remember anything. But also, you never know what they're going to do afterwards. So you may think that this is not a hot lead, they just came by and took my tchotchke 4 times, they don't care about my company or my solution. But then you may discover they visited my webpage 4 times over the last week, and they were on the pricing page and they downloaded an ebook. And so that preconceived notion of that specific lead has completely changed, right? Because they're showing you in the way that they're interacting with you that they are interested. And so that's the great thing about lead scoring is it's very objective. It should be very objective.
It should be, right? Yeah. Let's see. We have another comment here. Would love email nurture webinar. Awesome. That's one of my favorite topics. So I'm all in on that. Any chance we'll be at NAB and do a session in person? Yeah, totally. Couple things about that. I like to share whatever I can with people. And so on my website, Fallon, I'll let you chat that in, kokoroinc.com. I have a contact me in the corner, and I will do a 20-minute session with anybody, just like a 20-minute strategy session. Glad to do that. And then, we could meet up at NAB, and I'll talk with NAB show people. Maybe they may want to do an on-site, or we'll just see what's happening with that. Again, we want to be of service. So yes, I like that. What other questions do we have? Anybody before we sign off? Kelly, are you comfortable with people reaching out? LinkedIn, Twitter, what's easy for you? What would you like?
Yeah, I would say
contact?
LinkedIn is probably the
Cool.
best way to reach out to me. And if you have questions, like even, a very specific question, I'm happy to help.
That is super nice of you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we're going to call it a wrap. Thank you, everybody. Totally appreciate everybody's comments and look forward to seeing you on the next session on December 5th. Have a beautiful day. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.